Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Sports Talk podcast. This is your United show. This is Devil's Advocate. I'm joined by a fantastic panel of guests here this evening. During this lovely time in COVID isolation for myself, so no better time to do a show. Do not melt anyway. So I'm joined by a great panel here today. So I'm joined by Jay Motty from Stretford Paddock, and I'm joined by our two podcast regulars, Greg and Reece. Here today to talk all things United, especially the Europa League game coming up tomorrow against Sheriff. We're going to chat about that. We're also going to chat about Cristiano Ronaldo's role in this Manchester United squad and can he adjust Eric Ten Hag's system. We'll also talk about team news coming up for tomorrow's game as well as starting 11 and score predictions as well. So do smash like the video, guys. Do hit that subscribe button. And as always, we do appreciate your continued support. But Jay, first of all, we were talking before the start of the season in terms of Eric Ten Hag's system. We had a lot of hope, but also a lot of pessimism coming into the season because the transfer window wasn't really working for us around that time. Fast forward, it's about 6-7 weeks later since we had a chat, Jay. Just for yourself, what you make for a start of the season so far in the business we've done as well?
Yeah, I mean, when we last spoke, I was pretty worried, I think, about the transfer window as far as it had gone. We made, I can't remember exact time. I think that the start of the transfer window, obviously, we bought in Malacia, we bought in Ericsson, we bought in Martinez, who were, decent signings and have turned out to be, especially in the case of Martinez, who didn't, in fact, all three of them have done very well since they come in. But I was a little bit worried because we finished sixth, we're so far behind other teams, and you think it's going to take more than these three. And then you bring in Casemiro, which again was a big signing and one that surprised me that we actually got that one over the line. I didn't think that was going to happen. And then Anthony, we break the bank for Anthony at a time when that deal looked dead in the water. So I think it's been a decent transfer window for Manchester United. I still think we probably could have done with another striker. I know that might sound greedy, but we've spent 200 million, and I'm always of the opinion there's almost an unlimited amount United can spend on transfers. You look at the money we waste elsewhere, and I think the position we're in, Manchester United should be challenging for league titles, and we should have the funds to do that no matter what. And that's where we're at in a minute. Yes, we've spent a lot of money, we've wasted a lot of money and all this other stuff, but if we're going to get back to challenging the likes of Manchester City at the top of the table, then you are going to have to spend big. So we've done it almost as much as we should have done. I just feel like maybe another one or even two signings, maybe you could have brought in another right back as well. So I've got a little bit more optimism. The reason I've got more optimism isn't just because we bought players, it's because the players we've bought have been performing. Malacia, Ericsson, Martinez, even Anthony. And, Casemiro's not really got going yet, but the other four have. And one big plus has been the way Eric Ten Hag has got a tune out of some of the other players. Me and you were talking last time, and I said to you about, it's not just for signings. We need the players that have been underperforming to get back to the levels that we know they're capable of. Now, I love Marcus Rashford, but last season he had a stinker. This season, we've seen much better from Marcus Rashford. 3 goals and 2 assists so far. He's not to be sniffed at. Scott McTominay, a lot of people thought the jury was out. A lot of people give one up on him. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was one of those where I was thinking, is he at the level that we need?
4 of us were.
Yeah. And this this season, he's in a position now where Scott McTominay is keeping Casemiro out of the team in the Premier League on merit. Not on, fitness, but on the fact that Eric Ten Hag's going, Scott McTominay is my first choice at the minute. Now, I know that can change. It's only early doors. So, yeah, I've been very, very impressed with the way Eric Ten Hag's turned things around. I've been impressed with the players he's brought in. And, and so far it's been all right. After that horror show of the first 2 games, especially the Brentford game, we look like we're moving in the right direction. It's just sod's law, isn't it, that now we've got this break in the Premier League when we could have probably done without it, especially when the first game back in the Premier League is going to be against Manchester City.
Yeah, I think that the break is going to... It could either to hurt us or could really benefit us in terms of the time Eric Ten Hag's going to have on the training pitch with the players. It could potentially benefit him in that respect. But Greg, Jay obviously mentioned our upturn in form, Joe, obviously since the transfers have come in, the new players have been bedded in, and especially in the last couple of games. So we've seen progression, we've seen better performances, we've seen better results, especially players like Marcus Rashford and McTominay and Bruno Fernandes, just to mention a few. What do you make just the overall? I know we're going to talk about the game in a minute, but what do you make the overall progression of the squad, Joe? I suppose post Brentford and Brighton.
It just sort of looks like the team has. I know it's been talked about a lot, but it looks like the team has a bit of confidence again that they can go out and actually win games and actually hurt opponents. We've not played ball dominant football, and I don't think any Man United fan was expecting us to go out there this season and have 70% of the ball every week and play beautiful football and break down teams left, right, and centre, because it was never going to happen. There was too much of a transition needed from the absolutely dire football we were playing last year to the systematic way that Ten Hag wants us to play, and that's why players like Eriksen coming in were so key. Players like Malacia, players like Martinez, and Anthony, probably why he pushed so hard for Anthony as well, because he knew the system and knows how much of a demand it's going to be to go from where the United team are, which were rubbish, by the way. That is the worst United team we've seen in the Premier League in years. Absolute years. Probably the worst one of the Premier League era in terms of a Man United team. I know by points they were, but the actual performances were awful. And the way that we have won games, we've yet to dominate a game completely, I think, from start to finish, but I was quite happy with the Arsenal performance. We know Arsenal are a very good team this season. They've got players that can hurt us, so I think sitting back on the counter-attack was the right way to go. And like Jay said, players like McTominay keeping Casemiro out the team, you would never dreamt of that a year ago, because he had no confidence. He wasn't playing the way that he has played, or that he's shown he's played. Normally against Leeds, he plays really well, and that was pretty much it. But for some reason, under Ten Hag, he's just kicked on. And I think when a new manager comes in, it brings a lot of confidence to a lot of players, and a lot of players see it as like a completely clean slate. I was under the impression that Fred was going to get a lot more minutes this season, and McTominay been pushed to the side, but it seems to have gone the other way. So I'm really enjoying watching Man United, mainly because I don't know what we're going to get. I'm under no impression. I don't think we're going to go and beat in the rest of the season and win everything. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're probably 4 years away from challenging for the Premier League in terms of general. Just if you look where City are, I would say Liverpool, but they're crap. If you look at where City are just now, we're years off that. Like I said, I sat here last year at the end of the season when we did our big end of season show, and I said that we were 2 years away from catching Arsenal, let alone from catching Man City, and I still think we're away from that. But I just think it's been a team with a bit more confidence. They know how they want to play. They just aren't quite sure how to get there quite yet. They know what the end product looks like. They just don't know the sort of how to get there.
And Reece, like just touching on Greg's point there, like it seems to be natural progression. Looks like we're getting more cohesiveness in our play. And one thing I've really liked in the last couple of weeks is the way we've played defensively, and with the likes of Dallo. For me, like I was talking to Jay weeks ago, and I was saying I was astounded that Ethan Laird was going out on loan, and then we weren't buying a right back, and then he's frozen out Wan-Bissaka as well at the same time. But Dallo's really come into the team, and he's really played really well. Varane seems to be settling in quite well to the system a year on, and Martinez seems to come in and be that kind of bit of bite in defence that we haven't had in quite some time. What do you make of the overall defensive structure Ten Hag has kind of, I suppose, instilled to these players? And do you think, maybe in the next couple of months, that when these players get more integrated, we may see better football, we may see more possession in games? And do you maybe think as well that, like, with the likes of Varane, Martinez, Lindelof, Maguire, that they may rotate a bit more, and we may see more overall confidence from the Manchester United defence?
It's a bit early to call, but I think obviously we're going to be touching on the Sociedad game very shortly. I think there's a complete level to our defence when you see the difference from Martinez and Varane to, for example, Maguire and Lindelof. It's a massive gap. It's not just about difference in quality. It's the pace of our overall defence when progressing the ball. It's really slow. We don't transition really quickly. I think one thing that has to change if you are going to play the defensive structure is one of them's got to stay in the team, like pretty much the entire season. It's going to be difficult to keep one of them fit. I think personally the one you want to keep fit is Martinez. I think because you can't put like a right sider back on that left side anymore when Martinez has got it like completely tucked in. Another problem as well is you saw it as well, like when he comes onto the field, like it's immediate change in aggression of United's play. I think we're too relaxed without him. I think we need to keep the same back four for as long as possible. But the difference is the drop in level and quality. I think we've got some really good players there in our back four. I think Dallo has stepped up a bit, but I'm still a little bit concerned about his defensive play. But he has at least been improving. I think Malacia, to a degree, like he's shown why he was bought in the first place. I watched the Conference League final. Like, he was on the losing end for Feyenoord, but he was absolutely fantastic, bombing up and down. He tucked in really well as an inverted fullback. He was coming in the middle. He was being as involved as he could. I think we haven't had that in quite a while in terms of a defender who can comfortably do that. So there is a massive gap there, and it's something we have to see from our backup options as well. When they come into the team, they have to perform to the same extent. I think we should have got another centre-back besides Martinez. Like, I think Varane's a quality player, but we can't trust his injury record as well. Like, that's been consistently bad for us last year, which is unfortunate because he's a phenomenal defender, but we need another defender like Martinez to go in our team because the difference in quality comes down. But I like at least what I've seen so far in terms of the structure with our main back four. I do like that structure. It's just when you see the difference from Martinez and Varane out the team and you see different change in the centre-back options, our quality is really sloppy. And it's quite alarming, especially as you said, you want more possession of the ball. You want to dominate games. You need the quality in the back four to do that as well.
Jay, you were at the game last week against Real Sociedad. Unfortunately, obviously, it was a 1-0 defeat. I think maybe there was a lot of different contributing factors to probably the drop in performance. Obviously, maybe a few changes been in there. Obviously, the situation that we were in at the time as well, in terms of what was going on outside of football. Like when you watched the game last week against Real Sociedad, obviously we made a few changes and structurally things were a bit different. What were your thoughts on our overall performance? Because that ultimately was our last game we played before tomorrow's game.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the other guys have said, like Reece was making a point there about, when you've got the ball defensively in the transition as well. And we looked a little bit disjointed, didn't we? There was we shook it up a little bit. And the thing is, you're still bringing in big names when you're bringing in the likes of Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof and players like that, the players that have, played for a lot of games for Manchester United. But we have looked a lot better over the last few games with the likes of Martinez starting. And Varane starting, and I think we suffered a little bit with them missing out. I know Martinez obviously came on. Going forward, Marcus Rashford, I mentioned earlier, has been a big part for us this season, big player for us this season. He obviously didn't feature. I think we missed him. I thought Christian Eriksen looked very good when he played. He was making us tick a lot. But there's almost like an over-reliance on him for that game, especially. It was like if he wasn't making it happen, no one was. And also as well, I think there's two sort of contributing factors that can kind of go under the radar. One, I think we were a little bit complacent against Sociedad. I think there's almost that attitude of, whatever best team in Spain, they're not up there with the best of them. We've been flying, even our reserves or our fringe players are the likes of Maguire and Casemiro and players like that. Ronaldo is coming into the team. It'll be an easy day at the office, and it wasn't. And when you're up against it, sometimes you struggle to catch up with the pace of the game, and they at times took the game to us. And people don't like to talk about it when you lose to a team you're expected to beat. It was a bad decision. It was a costly decision, the penalty. I'm not being sour grapes because at the time I couldn't see it. I saw it when it happened, but I'm blind, and you don't get the advantage of a replay when you're at the game. So it was like a split second thing. I thought, was that a handball? I couldn't really say, but it was a bad decision. So there's all those contributing factors really that led to the defeat. I just think the one thing you've got to remember is you can't go into a game like that and just think, we can just turn up and we'll win. If there's something we learned, in both lads, you've all mentioned it, this season is that this United team or any United team is capable of getting beaten by anyone. Brentford aren't amazing and they battered us. Brighton are a good team, don't get me wrong. But they beat us at Old Trafford. That should be a rarity, that, for a team to win at Old Trafford. And we've already lost twice this season at Old Trafford already. So you have to respect your opposition. I think there's a little bit of that lacking. And I think, the sad thing is some of these fringe players, we've all mentioned it about the way that the sort of the new signings have come in and we're getting a tune out of certain players. Some of these fringe players have got to take these opportunities, when they get them. And when I say fringe players, I'm talking about likes of Maguire and players like, I don't know what singling out, because I don't think he was particularly bad. But you have to take these opportunities when you get them, because Erik ten Hag doesn't care about reputation, doesn't care about price tag, doesn't care. Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the greatest players I've ever seen in my life. And he's not even getting in the team when everyone's fit because Erik ten Hag doesn't need him. He feels like he's got other players he wants to use. Harry Maguire is the most expensive defender ever. Doesn't get in the team when everyone's fit because Erik ten Hag doesn't feel like he needs him. So these players, when they get these opportunities, have got to take him. And if one or two of them start against Sheriff tomorrow, they've got to take that chance as well, because we've already given ourselves a little bit of a headache there, losing the first game. And I might be in the minority, and I'm looking forward to you guys' opinions. But, if you're in a competition, I want to win it. I'm sick of us seeing us going trophyless. I want us to win the Europa League. People may call it two bob, and it doesn't matter. And it's just, it's the second best trophy in Europe and all this other stuff. But it's a trophy. It's a European trophy. It gets you in the Champions League. And I'm not going to lie to you, one of the best nights I've had as a Manchester United fan was in Stockholm when we won it last time. So I'm all for winning it, and this might sound like a crazy thing as well. I don't like seeing Manchester United lose games. I don't like seeing us, lose any games, let alone to teams we should be beating. So I expect Manchester United to turn up tomorrow, and I expect the players that are being given an opportunity to represent Manchester United to show Erik ten Hag and the fans as well what they're about, because against Sociedad, too many of them didn't.
Yeah, and I think that there was a lot of disjointed, I suppose, patterns in our play against Sociedad. And I think that a lot of that was attributed to changes. And I think you're right. Everyone's right here in terms of looking at the back four. The back four was still deeper. We were conceding more chances. We weren't as aggressive when Martinez was on the pitch. Like, there's so many different contributing factors to that result. And look, again, if complacency did kick in, then look, hopefully in the week or so that Ten Hag has had the lads in the training pitch, obviously because there's been no Premier League games. Like, let's hope that complacency has been kicked out of him by Ten Hag now, hopefully not physically kicked out of him by the manager. I don't want to see any more.
Can I jump in for 2 seconds as well, Keane?
Yeah.
Is that all right? Can I just jump in for 2 seconds? Another thing as well, I don't know what you guys noticed, but I did think Greg mentioned Fred getting more minutes as well. I thought 2 things Ten Hag got wrong against Sociedad, minute things he got wrong, but he got Eriksen. I think Eriksen's position was wrong. Personally, I would have played Casemiro and Fred in the pivot. I would have played Eriksen as the 10, although I get Eriksen's quality in the deeper role is brilliant. And I think another thing as well is, although I did slightly slaughter Ronaldo on the Talk of the Devil's reaction show, but his first touch being absolutely shocking, his performances dipped as well when Eriksen came off. I think he had no like for like replacement to actually try and find any passes through to him as well in the second half. I don't know what you guys think, but I thought when we lost Eriksen, we had nothing creative wise. We looked so flat in midfield. I don't know what you guys think. I just thought I would say I think that's the only things he generally got wrong, Ten Hag, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Fred playing as a false 10 may have actually contributed to that. I think the reason why Ten Hag probably wants him to play there is to plug the gaps where Ronaldo's going to leave defensively. In that respect, I think that's probably why he wanted Fred to play there. I was watching it here, and I was watching the game. I seen our initial shape in the first couple of minutes. I was saying, Fred's number 10. I was saying what the fuck's going on here? I was like, what's going on? But then I realized, then I was like, right, he's using Fred as a trigger for the press.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I
mean? I get that he's tracking the run, but I just thought I would have rather just seen Fred in that box to box role, at least because he can still track Ronaldo's runs. He's got the energy and he's got the ability to press. He could catch up to Ronaldo in terms of pressing. Fred's done that with the best of them in terms of speed. I just think I would have played Eriksen just for the creative role in that 10 role because we lacked that. But I do get his decision. I just thought, in my opinion, I thought it was wrong on the night.
But look, managers get things wrong in games.
Absolutely.
All Pep gets things wrong a lot of the time, though, in terms of the decisions you make. Klopp is getting things wrong right now. Arteta got a heap of stuff wrong. Tuchel is gone. So, look, there's heaps of managers, top managers in the game will get decisions wrong. Fergie got things wrong.
Yeah, true.
Loads of times. Do you know what I mean? So, look, at the end of the day, no manager is invincible. Not unless Arsenal fans will tell you that, but even
I think he's learned from that though in terms of that decision as well. I think that's the one thing the manager does do. So he does recognise decisions really quickly because throughout the game, when Fred his performance was starting to dip in that 10 row, he did pull him back. But it was just he just changed the shape. But he stopped playing him in the 10 row when he went to a 4-3-3. I think he realised, okay, maybe I can still get you to track the run, but I can't get you in the 10 row because you're just hitting the ball off Elanga's face. We're not here to smack players in the pus. We're here to actually score goals.
Yeah, that is the thing. Look, hopefully, we see an improvement in performance in the game, which we'll chat about just in a moment. But Greg, Jay brought up Ronaldo in terms of he's not invincible in this team. In the eyes of Erik ten Hag, he needs to earn his place. He needs to up his performances. 7 games, no goals, no assists. But I think we seen the Leicester game. He did bring balance to the team when he did come on. When you look at Ronaldo's role in this team, do you think he needs to be a starter every week to kind of grasp Erik ten Hag's system, or do you think he needs to be that kind of experienced player in the team now who provides more guidance to the younger players, such as your Langas, your Rashfords, McNeil's, players like that in there now where look, he's going to have to he's going to be an important player in the team, but he almost has to I suppose take a back step.
Yeah, well, if Ronaldo had got a genuinely good offer and United had got a genuinely good offer for him, and even on deadline day they'd taken it and Ronaldo wouldn't have been here. It doesn't matter what Ronaldo does this season, he's not going to start under Ten Hag. Ronaldo's of an age now where he's of the opinion and that he doesn't have to change how he plays. He's not going to turn into a pressing monster type forward. He's just not going to do it. He's not. So his impact is going to be to sit on the bench and come on when he needs to come on, and then probably what will happen in January is a team will panic and offer stupid money for him, and he'll be gone in January. I don't see. I was surprised that he didn't get his way and get out when in the summer. I was shocked, but it didn't. It's not surprised me really that he hasn't played. Ten Hag clearly didn't fancy him at all. He's completely different sort of profile to the players that have been working well in the system, to Rashford. He doesn't carry even the energy of someone like Elanga. Obvious reasons why he wanted Antony. He's versatile, can play on both sides. He tracks runs, he presses hard. It's something Ronaldo doesn't do. Whereas I agree with you, when he came on against Leicester, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he really brought a lot of balance to the team. I thought he gave defenders something to worry about, because I don't think Rashford does that often enough. He's quite a central striker. I think he drifts quite a lot. I think a lot of the time centre-backs don't have to actually focus on what Rashford's doing. And a lot of the time, sometimes that's where he gets his success, because he runs in off the left, he's not being tracked, anything like that. But when Ronaldo's come on in the games he's come on, he's not Ronaldo anymore. He's not like this amazing being that's going to come on and will score goals left, right, and centre and will change game. He's just not. He's getting on. He's getting older, and he doesn't suit the system. So I personally think a team will panic in January and they'll go and get him. If someone like an Atletico Madrid scrape through the group stage of the Champions League and they're sat there with a tie, I don't know, like if they
PSG
or PSG or anything, like a PSG type tie in the next round of the Champions League, I could see them just going, right, yeah, let's just offer the money, get them in, and United would have taken it. The one person that wants Ronaldo at United is Joe Glazer. I don't think any of the playing staff or the backroom staff would be that gutted if he was to leave, because whilst he's a great player, he causes headaches, he causes problems, he carries an ego, he comes with baggage. He's a lot of things that a new manager doesn't want to deal with. He's rolling the team right now is just wherever Ten Hag plays him, and I'm not surprised that he's on the bench every week and he's playing in the Europa League.
Jay, when you look at Ronaldo this season, obviously, there's been a lot of, I suppose, drama in terms of won't he leave, and consequently, we've seen in pre-season Martial was Ten Hag's striker in pre-season. He's played quite well. Unfortunately, again, he's injured, but since the start of the season, Rashford's striker has really kind of evolved and he's back to form. When you look at Ronaldo's role in this squad this season, I suppose between now and the World Cup, because we don't know what's going to happen in the World Cup, and do a team sign him on the back of Portugal, let's say, having a good World Cup, do you think Cristiano Ronaldo can evolve and essentially adapt to Manchester United between now and the World Cup and be that leader in the dressing room that I suppose in a dressing room that kind of lacks leaders at the moment?
Hope so. You can't see too much in the way. We saw some pictures, didn't we, in video from training today. Him and Ten Hag having a little bit of a laugh. He has, to be fair, done the job that's asked of him. He hasn't spat his dummy out completely, has he, really? He's been dropped for the Premier League games. He's been brought in for Europa League. And he's given his all. You might argue, and I think you've all made good points about, he isn't quite the guy that you need at times when it comes to the press. And maybe it's a really good point you made about Fred having to come into that 10 role to do the sort of the donkey work, if you will, that Ronaldo probably hasn't got in his locker anymore. But I don't see a Ronaldo who's down tools. I think the only thing with Ronaldo is no matter what, he wants to get goals. He wants to increase his record, he's breaking these records. It was funny in the Arsenal game, there was an opportunity, I think, late on where Bruno could have squared it to him and he didn't. And Ronaldo went berserk. In the last minute, he was throwing. That's someone who at least cares. And he might be caring because he cares about himself and his record rather than the team, but he cares. And I do see little traits with Ronaldo. You see him talking to his teammates. It's often ignored before the game. You see him on the touchline talking to some of his teammates. And I feel he is not definitely fulfilling that captaincy type leadership role, but there's elements of it. And what interests me as well, when I saw Casemiro on the touchline, I don't know if the cameras picked it up against Arsenal, when he was warming up and when there was a break in play, there was an injury or Arsenal player probably rolling about pretending to be injured and, the physio came out, whatever. Casemiro was chatting to United players, like put arm around him, having a word. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, almost giving a bit of coaching. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to do this or, make sure you're doing this. Because with Casemiro, you've got a guy that, has won 5 Champions League, won a lot, knows what he's doing, giving a bit of that experience over. Varane does it. Varane's not much of a talker, but now and again, you'll notice it when he does talk. He's the sort of player that people listen to because of what he's won and what he's done. And Ronaldo does it. And I think when you've got those 3 winners in your squad, not just Ronaldo, but you've got Varane and Casemiro, 14 Champions Leagues between them. Ronaldo's a 5-time Ballon d'Or winner. You can't ignore that. And if you're a young player and you've got any sense at all, and, from what we see, some of our young players are, showing they have, and you've got those type of players saying things to you, listen, you need to do this or, make sure you do that or whatever, then that is a spine of winners that you can listen to. And hopefully that can be a good influence in the dressing room because I think in a manager in Erik ten Hag, we've got someone who, he's a good coach. He's willing to take these responsibilities himself as well. After the Brentford game, they all went on that extra running. He did it. Yeah. He's not afraid to be, harsh when he needs to be, and he can put an arm around someone when he needs it. They need it as well. With the players that I mentioned, you've got all that experience of winning things and playing at the very, very top of football for such a long time. So there's a good mix here. There really is. And I just think, you'd be very foolish if you're a young player at Manchester United, or not even a young player, just a player at Manchester United, if you weren't willing to listen to these guys and hopefully they're willing to fill the role that you spoke about, because we've seen it with Portugal with Ronaldo. He's very much a leader with Portugal. He does lead. He does coach almost at times. He does have those words with his teammates. He does do a lot of the sort of, you saw it when they won the Euros 6 years ago. Before the penalties, he's geeing everyone up. He's chatting to everyone. When he came off injured in the final, he was almost like the manager at times where he was, shouting from the touchline. So if you can bring a bit of that to Manchester United, I think that'd be a massive positive because whether you love or loathe Cristiano Ronaldo, there's no denying the guy is a winner with loads of experience of what it takes to be at the very top of football. And that's where some of our players need to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the guidance, for some of these younger players, I think Ronaldo's wisdom is priceless. Like, you're looking at young Charlie McNeil, for example, coming up into the squad right now. Brilliant record at youth level, and so he's absolutely fantastic striker. For the likes of McNeil, Iqbal, players like that who are coming in and training and learning from Ronaldo, learn how he carries himself. Little things like that, recovery after games, just little things like that, extra minutes on the training pitch. Like, that can benefit them going forward, and having a player like Ronaldo can help them. I know I mentioned this last season when he came back, and we had the likes of Rashford and Sancho there, and I was hoping they'd kind of feed off Ronaldo last year, and hopefully we're seeing that now this season, that they do come on and they reach that next level and kind of feed off that elite wisdom that Ronaldo has. And for me, I love the man. In my childhood, he gave me some of the best days of my life. As a Man United fan, I lived in a house full of Liverpool fans on the Champions League final back in 2008, and that was just look, Reece, I've already told you this story. Cristiano Ronaldo broke a lot of scouts' hearts in that house that night. So
and
Cristiano
Chelsea.
Ronaldo, and Chelsea as well. Yeah, by the way, Sean will probably watching right now and absolutely want to kill me. But look, it's one of them where I respect his legacy in the football club, and I know whatever people can say about Ronaldo being, I suppose, being ego-driven, and people saying Ronaldo, only cares about himself. Cristiano Ronaldo cares about his legacy at Manchester United. I know that for a fact. He came back to United, and what did he say? Sir Alex, this one is for you. At the end of the day, he respects Sir Alex. He respects what Sir Alex done for him. He respects people like Roy Keane and Paul Scholes, and helping them back in the day to guide him to be the man he is today. So there's no coincidence before these games where he's going over to Rio, he's going over to Scholes, Gary Neville, people like that, who I suppose helped educate him in football. And I think, look, Ronaldo, whatever happens, he'll always have his legacy in Manchester United. That'll never ever change. And look, if he moves in January, fair enough. If he stays for the rest of the season and helps us, helps Eric Ten Hag in the short term, the rebuild, that's great too. But I think we need him at the club now because look, we are very low on forward players in the football club, and look, we are in a kind of transitional period where some of these younger players are going to need to make the step up at some point this year. You do need experience here to help guide them and help bed them in. So look, hopefully Ronaldo can stay there, and look, hopefully he can start banging in the goals again, because look, I know we're scoring goals at the minute with like Bruno, Rashford and that, but like, look, I think it's very important Ronaldo needs to start chipping in as well, so we don't kind of go through a stage where we did under Ralph Rangnick where we couldn't find the back of the net. When Ronaldo went through that spell, and obviously we lost other players in the team, and obviously Rashford and Sancho were out of form, as well at that time. So hopefully he can stay in the team, and look, consequently they'll get back to form. We will talk about Sheriff now tomorrow in the Europa League, because look, people can talk about the Europa League, say it's not a glamorous competition, but Jay did mention, Reece, that it's a way back into the Champions League, and you look at the way the top four race is going to be this season. Look, I think we all know City are probably going to run away with the league this season, with the way Haaland's playing and the amount of goals they're scoring week on week. But when you look at this top four race, we'd like those City, Chelsea, not City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, all in that race for like three other spots. When you look at the Europa League and you look at the significance of this competition this season, do you think United should be going almost full strength tomorrow against a Sheriff team who quite amazingly last season beat Real Madrid in the Champions League, the European champions, and they have shown in the past that they can prove an upset?
I certainly think so. I think, if anything, the manager, I think he'll do what Mourinho did in his first year. I think he'll try and contend with both competitions until he sees how far he can go, and then eventually he's going to have to put all his eggs in one basket. For me, I would go full strength, because we're already playing catch-up to Real Sociedad anyway. I mean, we got unfairly beat. It was never a defeat anyway. It was a 0-0 draw all over. But he has to already playing catch-up in Sheriff as well. They won 2-1 in their first game as well against Omonia as well, like who will be up against them in the double-header as well. Sheriff, I've only ever watched them once, but funnily enough, that was the game where they did beat Real Madrid. So talk about luck of the draw. They are going to hold firm tomorrow. I think we'll definitely dominate the possession tomorrow. I think it's one of the rare games where we actually will dominate the ball. But they will be happy to sit back and try to counter against us. We've got to penetrate the defence any opportunity we get, because they are no mugs when it comes to European football as of late. They've done really well in terms of European competition. I would go full strength, but the only thing is the only thing I would maybe change, even though he was in the press conference, I would change goalkeeper. Dubravka was brought in as a backup. Personally, I would at least give him a chance, see if he's actually worth using. Because if we don't, what's the point in bringing in a backup keeper to use in a competition like this if we're not going to use him? So I would give him the opportunity, but I'd still play after that our first choice team. We need to get a strong result. We need to get goals as well, and we need to remind the rest of the group that we are actually here to win it, and obviously send a message to who I also think are the other favourites in Roma and Arsenal. I think the three main favourites are Man United, Arsenal and Roma for the tournament. It depends on who drops down from the Champions League. Obviously, we all know that Sevilla will do their best to get in because they love a good Europa League run. But I think really push comes to shove, like we have to go full strength. But I would start Dubravka personally in goal tomorrow. But I know we'll come to lineups and like shortly. But we need to set a standard of play under Ten Hag as well, which we've been doing to a degree. We've been setting a high standard, but you saw against Sociedad, and I've already alluded to before, so I'm not going to go back and what I said before. But the quality dips when certain players aren't playing. And if we have the main back four in, we'll win comfortably, I think. But they will sit back.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, again, it's one that we can't rest on our laurels. I think we do need to go full strength. Aaron has a comment here, Jay. He says, this Sheriff team is not to be underestimated. We definitely need a full strength squad. We need to compete for everything just like Manchester United should. When you look at like this current Sheriff team, they played against Real Madrid last season in Champions League. They did beat Real Madrid. And I suppose United's away record was something that last season, I know we went unbeaten domestically the season before under Solskjaer, but last season the away games were always like really tough, and we've seen kind of, I suppose, a lot of our worst performances last season in the away games. When you look at this Sheriff team and you look at kind of, I suppose, the way United have to play, especially the fact we're playing catch up to both Sheriff now and Sociedad, what type of performance are you expecting from United tomorrow?
I'm hoping it'll be a type of performance where he plays like a team that almost has a little bit of a point to prove after the first game. You know, that wasn't a good enough performance, and you know, it's sort of slightly embarrassing as well, isn't it? You know, you're in the Europa League, some people looking down the nose at it, and then you lose your first game at Old Trafford. It's like, come on, we need to be doing better, and we've got, you know, a lot of experienced players in that squad and in that team that got beat. So I'm hoping that we'll start on the front foot. I hope we'll take the game to them. I kind of agree with what Reece was saying. I thought Dubravka would have started against Sociedad.
So did I.
I think you're right, though he won't, because I know you were making a point you wanted to see him start. The fact that De Gea was put up for interview for the Europa League presser today makes me think there's no chance of Dubravka starting, because that would be a very bizarre move to put De Gea up and then go, you're not even in the team. But when we did our predicted 11 for the Sociedad game, I said I want to see Dubravka, because like you mentioned, you know, you want to see him being given an opportunity, at least just a bit of match practice, if nothing else, rather than, you know, if he is called upon, being thrown in a, you know, a Premier League game or whatever. I just wonder whether he's going to look at it now and go, right, I need to bring out the regulars. I know it sounds weird saying the regulars when we're only, 6 games in or whatever it is, but does he need to start the likes of Martinez, Varane if he's fit? I think Varane, did Varane travel? Sorry, I've not got the squad at hand. I think, was it Marcus Rashford who's out? So, you know.
Rashford, people who didn't train, it was Wan-Bissaka, Rashford, Dubravka, actually, funnily enough, and Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw was the other one.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's only Rashford there who's a starter, really. But I think we've got enough quality there. I just wonder whether he does go, listen, we haven't got another game for a while. You know, we've got a bit of a break. I may as well play pretty much a full-strength team and go for it. I wouldn't mind if he did, to be honest with you. I think that it's a game that, it's not a must-win game. You can still lose and go through, but you should be beating this. And you don't want to start a Europa League campaign losing 2 games on the spot, especially when you've got a break, because then it's sort of like that negativity's there and that deflation's there.
And you want
to be going in there with your tails up. So into the City game with your tails up. So yeah, I think you'll play a strong team. I expect Manchester United to start on the front foot. And I'd like to see a situation where, I mean, this might be wishful thinking, I don't want to disrespect Sheriff, where we can, you know, take the game to him, get a couple of goals, and hopefully give some of the younger players a chance again. Maybe bring on someone like Charlie McNeil when we're 2-0 up rather than 1-0 down. Because I like McNeil, he's a great young player, and it was a bit of a shame that he only got 5 minutes in a game we were chasing, rather than, you know, coming onto a game where Old Trafford was buzzing. Yeah, Garnacho, great point as well. Garnacho, you know, these are players that you want to see being brought in the right way. I hate Manchester City with a passion, but if you look at how they've used their youngsters, well, I say youngsters, they're one youngster, Phil Foden. He's been brought in over years, where he's been brought in the last minute when they're 1 or 2-0 up, and he gets a little run out, and then eventually that's led to him becoming a regular. And I think that's a good way of doing things. What I don't want to see is these youngsters being thrown in to try and, you know, go and win us the game when we're struggling. So hopefully we can get a Sheriff who, have to respect him, as Reece was pointing out. They beat Real Madrid, they beat Ammonia in the first Europa League game this season as well. So they're not someone you can just dismiss. But that being said, let's not kid ourselves. Manchester United should be able to beat Sheriff. If we can't, we've got issues.
Yeah, we do. And also the issue you have as well, if we do lose this game, is we're in a very big possibility of finishing second in the group, which ultimately means we don't go into the last 16, we go into the last 32. What happens then is the teams who are finished third in the Champions League group, you know, drop down. And the danger in that you have is, you look at the group in Champions League that has Bayern Munich, you know, Barcelona and Inter Milan in there. You could potentially get one of them in there in your last 32 games. So, like, that's where, like, you know, you have a danger.
Trip to the San Siro. Hey, no one's complaining about that.
Before it comes down, sadly, yeah.
I'd rather play him in the final, because I've Budapest already booked.
All right, okay.
That is a possibility, though, because the group winners get an automatic bye to the last 16 because of the new rules. Yeah, you've got to play the preliminary round now. It's automatic. Like, the group winners get to skip the last 32 altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, look, for me, I'm just looking at that, saying if I want to play one of them, I'd rather be spectacle, big final. You know, I want us to have run the competition this year. You know, I want us.
I wouldn't mind Spurs dropping down. You know, beating them home and away. You know, just for banter. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
We're not going to get. I mean, we're not going to get Liverpool. They're going to finish 4th. I mean, that's wishful thinking.
Was it last season? There was only Norwich and was it Norwich, Brentford, and Spurs? And we beat home and away.
Yeah,
Watford as well.
Now we lost to Watford, didn't
We
we?
lost 4-1 against Watford.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, that was. We won't go there.
Yeah,
I thought that's what you meant, mate. Sorry. Yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
there's only
just those three.
I think,
Just those three. Yeah.
there's only those 3 teams. Like I think, Brentford and Norwich, and then Spurs. So
Yeah.
even
Which
though
is
we were
unheard
awful, we still managed to beat Spurs twice.
Yeah, and do you know what as well? We on our Premier League pod, where our good man Steve, if we do get Tottenham in the Europa League, I'm just saying, I'm getting you on here, Stephen. It's going to be the biggest Europa League champions of the world clash here on the weekly armchair.
We'll roast you like Sporting did in the last 2 minutes. Don't worry.
Yeah, we will, absolutely. But look, I just want to touch on the starting 11 and score predictions. Just before we wrap up. Both lads have mentioned, guys, that obviously they want to go full strength. I will get their actual 11 and score predictions in. But guys, do drop your comments in and let us know what starting 11 you want to see us pick, and also as well what score prediction as well you have for tomorrow's game. But Jay, going to come to you first, as you are a guest. Give us your 1 to 11 for tomorrow's game and score prediction.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the 1 to 11 I gave on Paddock, so I don't want to change it because it'll be a bit weird. I think I went with David De Gea in goal, Malacia at left back. I think I went with Martinez and Varane. I think I went with those two at centre back and Dalot at right back. Then I think I had Casemiro, Eriksen, and Fred. I think was my midfield 3, and then my front 3. I went with Sancho, Rashford, and Elanga because there was question marks about Marcus Rashford's fitness. So it was Bruno was probably the big name that missed out there. I just feel like maybe he might be rested. I just don't know because it's a weird one, isn't it? Because we've got such a gap now between games. Does he just go, listen, you don't need a rest. Everyone's in who's first choice. But I think with Rashford out, I think Ronaldo comes in. The reason I went with Elanga is despite the fact that, I might sound slightly contradictory, despite the fact we need a strong team and he plays, arguably strongest team, I still think there's a little bit of room for manoeuvre where you could go, bring Anthony on second half rather than starting him because he's coming, great game against Arsenal, started against Sociedad. Maybe you give him a bit of a rest and say, come off the bench this time rather than starting him, which is why I put Elanga in with Rashford being out.
Yeah, and it's something that you may see. I think with Elanga as well, one thing he does do, and people don't give him the credit, is he does stretch teams. He gets in behind, he occupies the fullback, but also his contribution defensively as well. He's quite good. And in a game like this, where Sheriff may be aggressive and may look to play on the counter, I think Elanga could be that player to help maybe Dalot.
It's a good point, and listen, Elanga he gets a lot of stick, Elanga, and I'm a bit surprised because I think it's not his fault that we fell off a cliff last season. He shouldn't have been playing that many games. I spoke about using youngsters in the right way. He was a 19-year-old who played 20-odd games on the spin for Manchester United, and he shouldn't have been doing that. And I know his form sort of left him a little bit, and he didn't score. He's not scored for ages. But he's a player that you've nailed it. He can stretch teams. He's absolutely rapid. He's a lot quicker than Sancho's not that quick. He's just very, very skillful. Someone like Elanga, he's absolutely rapid, and he does need to work on his final ball and stuff like that, and his bit of decision making. But in terms of getting in behind teams and giving him a torrid time, then he's the sort of player who can knock her out that fullback, and then you bring on Anthony for the last hour or last half hour. Sorry,
absolutely terrorizing.
And the fullbacks, he's ready to give up. So yeah, I just wonder whether Ten Hag might mix it up a little bit.
It's interesting. You've thrown a curveball in there. With Elanga in there. So I'm interested to hear Reece's 11. But just before I get that, can I just get your score prediction, Jay?
Yeah, I think it might be closer than we think. I think United will get at him. I think I went with 1-0 on my prediction for the channel. So I'll just to mix it up a bit, so I can cover several scores in case one of them comes in, and then we'll clip this up and use it. I'll go with 2-0. For this one,
2-0. So absolutely, Jay, if it's 2-0, we're gonna clip this up and send it on to you. I'll be like, look, Jay was right, lads. He nailed that score prediction.
Do you know what? I've done all right with score predictions this season. I got loads of stick because I predicted we get beat 3-0 off Brentford, and I was getting absolutely hammered in the comments. Everyone was like,
I remember that show. Yeah.
Jay's lost it. He's so negative, Jay. You're being a drama idiot. Do you know what I mean? You proper being too negative and pessimistic. And I was like,
Well, what happened?
Yeah, I was too confident. We lost 4-0, not 3. I underestimated how bad we were. But like we've all said, we've turned it around since then. So hopefully, shouldn't be too many dramas.
Yeah, hopefully there's not another kind of, I suppose, curveball like there was in that Brentford game. But Mr. Russell, can you quickly just give us your starting 11 and score prediction there, buddy, please?
De Gea, Dalot, Varane, Martinez, Malacia, Casemiro, Eriksen, Fernandes, Anthony, Sancho, Elanga.
Anthony, Sancho, Elanga. So you're going Elanga up top. Who's up top then?
Sancho, false 9.
Ooh,
Sancho through the middle for his creativity, and then you can use Elanga and Anthony as the pace, because they're by far our quickest wingers. I'd use them like not just for abundance of pace, but they're agile as well. Sancho's like, he's quick on his feet. He's really good at his movement and around with the ball. Then if I'd play him there, and it also gives Fernandes like the opportunity to come in as well, like open spaces. And in the second half, take off Sancho or Elanga, whoever it is. I'm not particularly fussed, as long as it's not the one that's playing crap. I'm hoping neither of them play crap, to be honest. But just in case against Sheriff, it may happen. Whoever comes off, just put the other one on the left wing, and then just put Ronaldo through the front, give you a goal poacher, and just get balls into the box. That's my thinking. I'm going 2-1. I don't think we'll get a clean sheet, but I think we'll score enough goals to get the win.
So Jay's gone 2-0, Reece gone 2-1. I'm just going to give my 11 very quickly. I'm just going to go De Gea in goal. I would have said Dubravka if he wasn't injured. I'm going to go Dalot, Varane, Martinez, Malacia. I'm actually going to go, Casemiro's not going to start. I'm going to go McTominay, Eriksen, Fernandes. I thought I wouldn't be saying that, but I'm actually advocating for it now. I'm going to go Anthony on the right, Sancho on the left. I'm going to go the GOAT up top, Cristiano Ronaldo up top. It'd be great to see him get on the score sheet and get a start there as well. And score prediction, I'll go 3-1. I'll go 3-1 United, but we will go behind. I think we will go behind, but I think we'll come back. It'll be one of them performances like we had under Solskjaer, where we go behind, but we come out in the second half and we'll just absolutely blitz them. It'll be one of them performances. And I'll go one further. I'll go just so we can. I always throw a curveball here. I'll go Harry Maguire off the bench. He's going to come on and score. We can clip that one up now if that happens, or if it doesn't happen.
Very specific here with the description you've given here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm impressed with the detail you've got into. We'll go behind in the second half. Harry Maguire's going to come off the bench and score. I mean, I'll be surprised if that. I'll be surprised if we go 1-0 down. And at half time, Ericsson asks us what we're going to do to solve this problem is bring on Harry Maguire. But, stranger things have happened. You're certainly not lying when you said a curveball.
To be fair, there is 5 substitutions. Harry Maguire might get a game. He did get a game against Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm just wondering of the situation you've set up there.
It's just, that's too much.
Yeah, we're chasing the game, so we'll get Maguire on.
He doesn't like swear. He doesn't like swearing, but I'm saying that's fucking Back to the Future shit.
It is. But you know
if this comes true now, seriously, you'll go.
We are coming for you. If this happens, we're coming for you.
We're 1-0 down and Maguire comes on as a sub. Everyone's going to be going, what's he doing? And if Maguire scores, you check it out, Keane. He's going to be everywhere.
That's myself laughing about.
Yeah,
absolutely. But on that note, guys, we're going to wrap it up there because I think Reece is about to explode there. But
on that bombshell.
We will be back this Friday. We will review the game, and we'll also be talking transfers as well and all the latest Man United news. Myself, Jamie, and the lads will be on there. And don't forget as well, do smash like the video, do subscribe to the channel, and also do check out our sponsors. And BetUS have sponsored this video. If you use the code Weekly Armchair Sports Talk 125 to get 125% bonus on initial deposit of $100 when you sign up to the Bet Us. And so do check out the link below. And if you do use that code, you do sign up for $100, you will get an extra $125 on top of that as well. So it's a good deal you have there. So do sign up for that as well. And also just remember, please do gamble responsibly as well. But on that, guys, thanks very much everyone for watching. I hope you all have a good day. And look, let's hope Man United do get the result and Harry Maguire does come on and score a header. But until then, guys, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next week.